Well, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. This is launching a church-wide Bible study with Church360 Unite. My name is Peter Frank. I'm the Senior Manager of Concordia Technology Solutions. We are part of Concordia Publishing House. I've been with the Publishing House for over 10 years now. It's hard to believe how fast that time has gone. I've been with the CTS team for a little over 5 years, and I've been with Church360 Unite since the very beginning when it launched. I joined the team about, I think it was about 8 months or so before we launched Unite. So I've got to see it go from what it was at the very beginning to what it is now, and see all the improvements and the changes that we've made based on user feedback since then. A couple of housekeeping items before we begin. First off, my plan is for this to be about 50 minutes of presentation and 10 minutes for question and answers. I am notorious for going over 50 minutes in a webinar. I tend to talk quite a bit, so I apologize in advance, although I do always make it my goal to get us out of here after an hour. So if you have questions, please ask them throughout. It pops up on my screen over here so that I can see what's waiting in the question queue, and every once in a while I'm able to answer the question as part of the outline or in the middle of it. Most of the time I save the questions for the very end. But seeing how many are waiting for me helps me know how far over 50 minutes I can go. So I do appreciate if you ask as we go, but if not, go ahead and ask at the very end. Now this webinar will be recorded. We will be sharing it after the fact. So if you have to step away for something, you won't miss it. You can watch it again later on. You can also share it with other people at your congregation if they can benefit from watching this too. So that recording will be emailed out to you and anybody who registered for the webinar later on today. It's usually a few hours after we wrap up. Going back to Concordia Technology Solutions, we are the Church Administration Division of Concordia Publishing House, and we've been producing software for churches since 1984. The Publishing House has been around since 1869. We're coming up on about 150 years really soon, and that's mind-boggling. The fact that we've been doing software since the early 80s is also mind-boggling to me. So Church360 Unite is just one of the latest applications that we have released, and pull that up on the screen. So that's our topic of discussion today. Now, Church360 Unite is part of the Church360 suite, which includes Members and Ledger. Now, we won't be getting into these in too much detail today, although I will be referencing Members in a few different places. So I wanted to make sure you had the context of where Church360 Unite falls with Members. They can all be used as standalone software, although they all work better together. And so I'll show where some of those differences are as we go through whether you're using Unite standalone or with Church360 Members. Now, if you are not familiar with Church360 Unite, it is a church website builder. I'm assuming by the context of the information that we shared about the webinar, you've got a little bit of that idea. But it's more than just a website builder in that it encapsulates a lot of different things. So, of course, you have the website. That's a key part of it, the primary part of it. But you also have a blog or multiple blogs that you can include. It is a member hub, so your members can log in and participate in groups and view things such as the files that you might share or the calendar, the master church calendar. You can also use Unite for mass email. And so we call it Unite because it unites these core online tools into one application. And it just serves as a great tool for your ministry to use for communications, for member management and engagement. So that's why we call it Unite. So I've made a few assumptions about you as I've prepared for this webinar. My assumptions are, first off, that you are familiar with church websites. If you are not familiar with church websites, I won't be covering all of the ins and outs of that, but Unite makes it pretty simple, so you don't really have to have a great understanding, but I'm assuming you're familiar with that. Also assuming that you're new to Church360 Unite. Now, Unite is got so many different features in it that you can be a well-advanced user or somebody who's used it for a long amount of time and still not know everything. So there will be some tricks that I show, but for the most part I've prepared the materials for somebody who is fairly new to Unite. And lastly, I'm assuming you're extremely busy, and this goes back to the recording. If you need to step away for something, I will not be offended. This is a tool for your ministry, but your ministry of sharing the gospel is certainly far more important than any of the tools themselves. So please make sure that you keep that in mind as we go, that this is just one more thing to help you share the gospel, but this isn't your ministry in and of itself. All right, the outline for today. Actually, before I go too far, I'm going to take a few polls. I almost forgot about this. This is something new that I've been doing. First off, if you don't mind telling me a little bit about yourself, just to help me kind of validate some of my assumptions. The first one is just going to ask what your role in the church is, and whether you are pastor, administrator, called church worker, tech coordinator, I put other on there because those first four don't cover everything. If you could just let me know what you are, that'll help and allow me to provide some context to the presentation today. All right, looks like we have the majority are church administrators and a tech coordinator, so very good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that one. And the second question I'm going to ask is, are you currently using Church360 Unite in your congregation? And so the answers are yes, no, or no, but planning on it. And like I said, this will cover the basics of it and some advanced features. So it looks like we've got pretty even split between using it and not using it and planning to subscribe soon. So very good. All right, thank you for that. I appreciate you letting me know. That's always helpful and helps me shape the presentation as I go today. So the outline for today, let me make sure. Sometimes my PowerPoint goes a little slow. We'll go through an overview of what is included in Unite, and we'll talk about some of the core features of getting set up. We're not going to spend too much time on that. We're really going to spend most of our time digging into some key communication tactics. Throughout it all, you will get a tour of the software, and so as we go, there will be some things that don't quite align with our purpose of communicating an all-church Bible study, but it's to give you that broad overview. Lastly, we'll be wrapping up with questions and answers, and like I mentioned before, if you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat now. That way I can see that they're waiting, and I'll make sure to get to them at the very end. So the key communication tactics that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to create a discussion group, which for Bible studies is especially important. For those who can't get there in person, it's a great way for them to stay connected. Or if you're like me and you have kids and things come up and you can only attend Bible study some of the time, I think I'm about 50% so far in our new Bible study. I'm hoping to get past that 50% tomorrow night. It's tough to stay in the loop with today's busy schedules, but this online discussion group allows you to stay engaged with the content even if you can't physically be there every single time. With that, we'll show how to invite users to that group so that they can participate, and also invite users to join in on your website. We'll set up the study events so that they get added to the calendar, and we'll show you the difference between the calendars. We'll create a landing page, and what I mean by a landing page is that you can send all of your traffic there from a variety of sources, whether that's from an email, from social media, from a blog post. All of it can point to this one place. We'll show you how to engage site visitors, which means adding a banner to the home page, and I'll give you a little bit of a trick that I use for creating very nice looking banners without being a professional designer myself. And lastly, there's two more. They will create a blog post. I mentioned that already. The blog post will also direct people to your landing page. We'll go through how to do that. And how to email the Bible study students. We've got a great feature of Unite called Email Relay. I'll show you how to use that so that you can do some mass email communication without literally blasting everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch screens here to go here. The study that we're going to be talking about, and this is an absolutely shameless plug for one of CPH's new products, is called Connected to Christ, Why Membership Matters. And this is not just a sales pitch for the book. We're not going to get into the content too much, but I did want to give you the context of this. It's written by a gentleman with a very good first name, Peter Speckard. I am not familiar with him too much, but I know that the book is fantastic. The reason I picked this is because it truly is meant for an all-congregation study. And there's some free promotional tools on our website that can help you with that. The banner that we're going to be using today was modified off of these free promotional things, and this just provides a nice context for what we're doing today. So that's what we'll be starting at this fictional church. The church is called Christ Community Church, and it is in Bakersville, Missouri, which if you look it up on a map, you're not going to find it. All of the names that we show in here are fictional people, just meant for demonstration purposes. All of the names except for myself. You'll see my name in here as the primary user as we go through this presentation. So, Church360 Unite, like I mentioned, is a church website builder. When you go to 360unite.com, it'll take you to our website, and you can start a free trial there. We'll come back here in a second to show one more thing. But if you are not already using Unite, I know many of you are not, you can participate and go along as we go. So if you wanted to start a free trial as we go through this, you're welcome to. Otherwise, you can pull up your Unite account and follow along as we go. So the first thing I want to highlight here is when you have logged in every theme, we'll talk about themes in a minute, gives you a place to log in. And so I have logged in here, that's got my name, Welcome Peter. As an administrator, I get this administrator toolbar up at the top, this black bar that has the different tools that I'm going to need throughout the presentation today to set up the website. Now, depending on your user permissions, you may not see this. We'll look at that as we get into users tool too. So if you don't have access to everything, don't worry, there's probably nothing wrong. It's probably just your user settings. Speaking of settings, that's where we're going to start, is up here at the Settings tab. And you'll see when you click on the tab, it does a full screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what we've got. This settings area is not someplace that you'll go to very often. It's only open to administrators. But you get a place to put the main contact information of the church. There's the Calendars tab, which we'll talk about as we get into adding events to the calendar. There's a section for you to add your domain. Now this website, which is live, you can go to it as well. It's webinar-2017-10-23.360unite.com. Now, if you have a complicated subdomain like that, which most of you will not, but if you want a clean name like www.mychurch.com, this is where you can set it up here. And you do have to purchase that, and it's included with some plans. So this is where you go to set it up if you're not receiving our assistance. Most people get our help with that, and we're happy to do that as part of you being a customer. So below that is Google Analytics, which is a fantastic free tool that lets you track all of the analytics of your website. It's what many of the major companies use for their analytics because Google provides this free. It's so widely used that you can be the smallest of churches or the largest of businesses and still get great value out of it. So that information is on there. We won't go into that too much today. And lastly, there's an integration tab, and this is for syncing with Shepherd Staff. Shepherd Staff is our PC-based church management software, and if you are using that, you can sync your account with your Shepherd Staff database with your Unite account so that your member information can sync two ways. It's a really cool feature. We've got other training webinars on how to do that, so I'm not going to get into that too much today, but I did want to highlight where that was. So that's what's in settings. There's not a lot that you need to go back to regularly. And the next section, which is themes, is one of those as well, where once you set it up, there's not a lot that you'll need to be going back and forth to. So you'll see here under themes, you have these different designs that you can choose for your church website. And I think we're up to, is it 12 now? 12 different themes. And they can all be customized. Within each one, we have what we call presets. And so when you click on the theme, you'll see the collection of presets underneath it. And if you want to preview it, you just click and hold, and it will generate a preview of that website. And there's some really great ones up there. This just shows the breadth of ways that you can modify your site and add your own custom colors and font selections and everything. You don't have to just choose one of these, though. Under this next section called Customize, It provides you your theme and a preview of your theme here, and gives you the opportunity to change colors, to add a banner, change your different fonts depending on what the theme is. So each theme has some different tools. And if you want to preview the themes with actual sample websites, you can go to our website and go to Themes, and go here. You can see that I'm using the imagery from the light theme today. This is imagery that I put together, and I just really enjoy using this because it's so simple to create. But we're going to use it under the material theme. And so please feel free to take a look at these and see what options you have. I didn't use custom code on these. Sometimes I use some different styling, but all of this is available to use. As you can see, the images are really important, and that's what we're going to talk about as we get to that part, how to go about creating images. But within the themes, you've got plenty of background options for you. And let me just show you how to modify this one. So again, we are on the material theme, and I've selected green. If I wanted to select a different color, I just click on it and click apply, and then when I close out, my new colors are there. I really like that color scheme, but it doesn't fit with the cover of the book, so we're going to go with green today. And it's a different shade of green, but that's okay. So I'll just click and apply the theme, and now when I go into customize, you can see it there. I'm going to add my banner, and banner is what I'm going to use it for is a logo, and I've already uploaded my logo here. But to upload, you just click the upload button and select your file. But I've already put it in here, and I'm going to save it. And so there, oops, I forgot I did the wrong logo. Sorry about that. Light of Christ Lutheran Church is what we're going to go with today. I have a couple different logos that I use. I pulled the wrong one, so sorry about that. It's not really important for the presentation because it does show that this is where you put the logo. So we're going to go with that, and I would change some other colors, but for today's purpose, that's not the primary discussion. So when I click Save, it takes me back to my site, and you can see there's the logo right there. Everything still stays the same. And if I change my theme, the logo would have to be updated again. So just know that that is tied in not only with my theme, but also with my preset there, because it's part of the styles. Now, another thing that related to that is the font styles or the text styles that we allow. And there's two types of these. There's block styles, which are your headings, and your inline styles, which are normal. So, or like your normal body copy or paragraph copy. So what you can do is you can either modify the styles that are there. Now, Open Sans is the current style. I'm going to change it to Roboto, because that's my favorite font, and it's a slight change. But then when I save that, now all of the fonts on my website, which there's not a lot right now, but we'll be looking at, will be Roboto. And that's why we use what we call these styles. It's best practices in web design to have styles applied so that you can make these global changes. Now you can create as many styles as you need, and as we get into the text editor, you'll see that you can only select styles for modifying fonts. And this creates a very nice and consistent website for you. It's very much thematic. It's branded to your church. You, as the administrator of the website, get to decide what the site looks like, and the people who help you update it follow that style guide. So that's why we do that. We'll look at that in a little bit. There's a couple other things that I just want to mention. There's an advanced section where you can add code to the beginning or the end of every page, custom headers, custom scripts. And then there's an edit, which allows you to actually get into the source code of the theme. So if you know what you're doing there, you can go and you can clone an existing theme and then modify it to your heart's content. And we have some of our more experienced web design customers do this. For the most part, people use out-of-the-box themes. But we want to make sure that we're transparent and provide you with all the tools that you can use if you have that skill set. So that's what's right there. So that's a brief overview of themes. Like I said, this is just something we're touching on. The next thing I want to get into is users. Now, one of the unique things about Church360 Unite is that you can allow users, you can allow members of your church to have sign-ins to your website and give them different levels of access depending on what they need. Now, it is a requirement that every person has a unique email address. That will be their login, and that will be what helps them reset their login, and we have to have that single email to individuals. So here is a listing of people. Now, when I click on roll, it'll sort it so that roll's on the top, and I am the only one who is here. I'm an administrator because I'm the only one that's been invited. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some people who have email addresses and invite them to join. Yeah, we'll just do a few here. Invite them to join my Church360 Unite site. So I've selected them and I click change role. And the default option is user, which means they can log into Unite. What that allows them to do is view pages that are private to the public, but it doesn't allow them to change the site at all. It'll also allow them to participate in groups, which is where we're going in our discussion today. So certainly that's the bare minimum that you'll want to invite people to, and you can choose how you want to invite people. You could do it upon request. You could blanket everybody with an invitation. I don't recommend you do that until you've explained to the congregation what you're doing here. But there's a few different strategies. It depends on how you want to use your site. Now, there's a few other roles that you can have. Publisher, which allows you to edit copy on your site. Designer, which takes it a step further and allows you to edit the themes as well. So if you have a web designer who is good at what they do, you could give them access to modify the theme. And finally, administrator, which is basically everything that you are seeing today, is that you can access the entire site. Now, depending on what plan you might have with Unite, you have a limited number of administrators. You have an unlimited amount of roles, or of logins for the other roles, but we do limit administrators based on what plan you're at. And the trial plan, I believe, only gives you one administrator. So we're going to go ahead and click Update. And what that has done is it has now invited those 6 people that I selected. And it will now say that they are set to the role of users. Now, each of those people will receive an invitation in their email address, which allows them to sign in and finalize their login credentials, enter password, and all of that. And then they can access the private side of your website. And there's a lot of benefits to doing that. I'll show you that in just a minute. Before I leave this screen, I did want to highlight one thing. You can see when people last signed in, and you can also, through this little double arrow button here, re-invite them if they've lost that initial invitation. So I just want to highlight that before we go too far. One last thing, if you need to add people here, you can do that. Just all it takes is a first name, last name, and email. You can also import from a spreadsheet, so it allows you to download a template, fill in the names, and upload it again and invite everybody all at once. It makes the process really quick. That way, if you are not connected to a church management software, either Church360 members or Shepherd staff, you can still bulk import people and invite them to your site. All right, let's go over here to Pages. This is on the far left in the Administrator toolbar. Now, right now, our website only has 3 pages. It's got the home page, which is by default. It's got a calendar page, also by default, as well as the members page. It's a member directory. What you can do is you can add as many pages as you want and also categories. So I'm going to add a page, and we're going to just do a blank page here. There are some page templates that you can use. We'll look at a few things like that later on. We're going to call this Bible Studies, and I'm going to add that over here and click Save. Now, when I close out here, Bible Studies is in the navigation. See, that left-hand side is all of the active menu items, and anything over here on the right-hand side are pages that are created but are not necessarily in the menu. Now, if you look at Bible Studies, there's a tag here that says Draft. That means that only people who have access to edit pages can see this. People who are logged into the site won't be able to see it unless they are a publisher or above. Now, there's another way. We'll go ahead and mark that as published. Now, I can also mark it as private. So private adds this members only label, which means you have to be signed in order to see that page. Now, there's a lot of good reasons for doing that. Sensitive information in the church is unfortunately shared far more often than it should be. And as I visit websites, I'll find things like people's phone numbers or prayer requests. The one that always concerns me the most is the acolyte schedule, where you're putting young teenagers' names on your church website. It's really dangerous to have all that information available because it's just a Google search away then. And so we recommend that any sensitive information, and it doesn't have to be real sensitive. A phone number is not real sensitive, but it's certainly private information. Put that on pages that are members only, and leave your public-facing pages to be the things that you don't care or you want everybody to see. And so if somebody from your neighborhood is looking on your website, that's all of the stuff that they see. Now, there's one other thing I want to highlight. There's what's called a category. In the category, I'll type in ministries here, is like a folder, and you can drag and drop things and indent them. When you click Save and go back to your web page, you can see that now Ministries is showing, and when you hover over it, Bible Studies is beneath it. You can actually click on Ministries. That's just a folder for you, a way to display a drop-down. And so as you build out your navigation, you can have many different things and have a rather complex navigation that, complex isn't the right word, a detailed navigation that is simple. And so if you look at what we've done on like material, you can see that we've got several different things underneath the drop down and a navigation of just 7 key items, but it's everything that you might need to show to the public. Now when you log in, there's a lot more to it than that. And so let me go ahead and show you. I'll save this and I'll log out of this website and I'll visit it as if I was a member of the public. Now you can see there's only home and calendar. As soon as I sign in, got to remember my password, there we go. It's got calendar, members, and ministries. So obviously I think ministries and Bible studies are something you'd put for the public site, but this for demonstration purposes shows you what changes. All right, let's dig in. We're already at 27 minutes, and I haven't even gotten into the all-church Bible study. I'm kind of laying the groundwork for this, and so that everything else will flow a little bit quicker. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to create a group, a Bible study group. And so when you go over to Add Page in the top right, there's 2 special pages that you can add. The feed, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that's useful for blogs, and then the group. And I'm going to go ahead and create this group. And I'm going to give it the name Connected to Christ. I just hit enter to save that, and you'll see it has a different icon. Now what I can do is drag this, and I'll put it in the navigation here. You'll also notice that the URL is displayed underneath each of the page titles. So Connected to Christ is right there. We're going to save those changes. I can click on that URL and it'll take me right there. And yeah, there we go. All right. I forgot the pink color is on there. Let me change that real quick. That's going to bother me. And it gives me an example of how to change colors. I want to go to a kind of a darker blue as the border and a lighter blue. We'll go even more blue. There we go. It's almost gray. Sorry. I get a little picky when it comes to design changes, but it does allow me to show you how easy it is to change the colors of the theme. So this is what we call a group page. Now a group page is kind of like a site within a site. Not only does it have is it all under one page in the navigation, so Ministries Connected to Christ, but you also have its own navigation within it. So Connected to Christ is the home page. There's a discussion board where you can have different conversations, post announcements. There's a calendar, which we'll be looking at in just a few minutes. That's unique to that group. We're going to start here on the members page, though, because a group is not valuable without other people participating. So as an administrator, when I add a group, I am marked as the group leader. Now I can go in here and invite other people. These are the people that we invited. So I can either add them as a member and they just automatically get added, or I can invite them as a member and it'll send an email asking if they want to join the group. So this gives you that flexibility that if people sign up for a Bible study in person on a piece of paper, you don't have to re-invite them. You can just add them to that group. So we're going to go ahead and add Dave Abbott and Sally Baxter. We might as well just add everybody here just so we have them. All right, and then Tim Bennett, there's everybody there. And I may want somebody else to be a group leader as well. So I just select them, and I can go over here to change their role and promote to leader. And now they are also a group leader. Now the group leader allows you to have access to the group settings and to post things as the group leader, to edit the pages of the group. If you're not a group leader, you just get to participate in the group, and you can add discussions, but you can't modify what's on the group. So it gives you that extra layer of flexibility. So somebody like Kira Belton here, she's a group leader, she can edit group pages. She doesn't get this top bar up here because she's not an administrator of the page, but she does get all of the additional things here for this specific group. So again, the fine-grained permissions is just a key part of Unite. All right, let's go here to edit this group. So connected to Christ is the title of the group. I'm going to leave that. I forgot to pull up my copy that I'm going to paste in here as a description of the group. Pardon me while that opens. And I'll copy this and paste that in here. We'll look at that in a little bit. All right. Now, within the group, like I said, it's a site within a site. You can add additional pages. And so I'm going to add a page and call Study Guides. And I'll add that, and then when I check it, it'll appear in the navigation as well, right there. Now, you can only have up to 3 in the navigation, and that's okay. It gets really long if you have more than that. But you can create more pages than just 3 and link to them in other ways. But we really want to caution you to not put too many pages in there just because it gets so deep into the navigation then. All right, I'm going to update this group, and it'll refresh the page for me and take me back to the home page. When I go back to edit this group, now Study Guides is added to this next section. So this next section says group details are visible too. Now, there's a few things that you can turn off, like this is for no one, they're hidden. So if you want to turn off discussion or turn off events, you can do that. But then the other levels are group leaders, group members, Unite users, or everyone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the home page available to everyone. I'm going to make the discussion page only available to group members. I'm going to make the events page open to group members as well as study guides. And then no, actually I'm going to put study guides under all Unite users and members as part of only group members. Now you can also choose who participates in the group. You can say anyone who's logged into the site can join the group or only people I have invited. Well, this is a church-wide Bible study, so we're going to make it available to everyone. And I'll update that group. So that's really simple to get your group up and running with the types of pages you need. Let's go ahead and show how to make that page. So I'm going to click Edit Page, and this is going to allow me to edit the home page. And I'm going to remove that. Now you'll see here, this is a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. It's very similar to what you might experience in Outlook or Gmail as you write in an email. It's very similar to a word processor so that you can put whatever information you want in here without having to learn code. So let's go ahead and do a few simple things. We're going to add an image, and I can upload it. I'll pull it in from my desktop. There we go. Give that a second to load. All right, click OK. And that doesn't look great. That's pretty skewed, isn't it? what we're going to do here, it's a really large image, and I should have scaled it down. We're just going to, oh my goodness, it's really large. We're just going to make it width of 100%. And all I did is I double-clicked on it, and I clicked Advanced. And now when I click OK, now it goes into a reasonable size. I took way too large of an image. I should have narrowed it down some, but that's okay. Connected to Christ, why membership matters. Now what I can do is I can go back in and I can take all of my copy that I had prepared in advance, and I'll paste it in there. And I'm going to modify the styles a little bit. So if I select this title, Connected to Christ by Peter Speckard, now I can go to my styles and see, okay, here's heading 2, and that's green. And I can go into here, and let's say, all right, so there's inline styles normal. I can do bold here. Maybe I want to change that to a red color. Well, what I can do is, first let me save my page, just so that's in there. Then I can go and select this, and I can hit this View Styles. And it takes me back up here to Themes, and I can now edit a style or add a new style. I'll click Add a New Style. It's going to be an inline style. I'm going to call this Red Text. And all I have to do, everything else is inherent or normal or none. I'm just going to change this color. And I'm going to go up to kind of a dark red. And I'll click Save. There we go. Now I just have to close out of here. Takes me back to Connected to Christ. I hit Edit Page. And now I can go and select my new red style and apply that on there. And so I can combine a bold with a red and just go all the way through here and add some color to it. Now, if I decide that I don't want that color to be red and I want it to be blue, I'll go ahead and save it. All I have to do is go back up here to Themes, Styles, click on red, change it, oops, change it to blue, save that. And now it's been automatically changed to blue because it's following a style guide, and I just changed the style guide. So I wanted to clarify that because that sometimes is confusing to new users of Unite. But now I have this page that is a great landing page. This would be a great place to send people to learn more about the Bible study. And I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to click Pages, and I'm going to move this out of the navigation a little bit and click Save. The reason I want to do that is I want this to be front and center on my website, and I'm going to log out. Oops, and I just realized I forgot one step. Let me log back in. Anytime I make a mistake, it's just further confirmation that this is live and that I have not recorded this and edited it for to make it perfect. So when I go over here to Edit Page, here's one thing that I often forget, is that the status is set to Draft. I'm going to change this to Published, and then I can click Save. Now, let me remind you, under Edit This Group, I had set the home page to be available to the public. So when I log out, now that it's no longer a draft, it's both draft and public. There we go. I can see it. So when I click Connected to Christ, it takes me to this web page with my very large picture and all of the information that I include on the home page, but I only get the home page as part of my navigation because that's the only thing I made public. Now when I sign in, I can go to Connected in Christ and see everything. And that's everything that's unique to me as an administrator. Members of the group will only see the things that members can. Members of Unite or users of Unite can only see the things they can. So it's very customized. Let's go here and before I just looked over my my outline. There's one thing I need to show you before I get into events. If I go up to my user profile, I just click on my name, Welcome Peter. It gives me the opportunity to not only see what I'm involved in. Here's my different groups. I can edit my profile. Give it a second. Oops. I can change my image. So I can use Gravatar, which is a third-party service often used with WordPress. So if I have a picture in Members, I can use that. I can use Gravatar. I'll update my profile. And now I'm logged in. I am logged in now, my photo is showing. I can also change my contact information. So I can go here to edit my profile. And if I wanted to put in my work phone number, 314-268-1408, I could do that. Oh, sorry, that's email address. Wasn't looking at it. There's my work. And I can choose what email address to show. There's Peter Frank. And I can say if I want to be seen in the member directory. So I'll update that profile. Now the member directory is a little bit different than a group member directory. So here under Connected to Christ, go back to my group. I can go here to Members and see all the people in that group. There's also a member directory called Members that's in the navigation. That's a public, or not a public site, a private page. It can never be public. It shows everybody in your church. Now, when you're connected with a church management software, it will show the families. So we have like the Abbott household together, and I can go and learn more about the Abbott household. If you're not connected with our church management software, it'll just show everybody individually. There's not a family management tool in here. All right, so let's go back to Connected to Christ. We're going to go to Events next. Now the events, a unique calendar. Now remember before I said under Settings, there's a Calendars option here. When you click on Calendars, we now have a new type of calendar called Connected to Christ. And I can change the color. That will go to a dark green, just because that's the theme. And it says Visible to Disabled. This is, you can only change these settings within the group. So we'll go ahead and X out of there. I'll close this. Remember the calendar settings. In fact, I already forgot what I set that to. I think I put it to, oh, I put only group members. I'm going to go ahead and move that back to public as well. There we go, update group. And now I'm going to go back to events. And here's my calendar. And I can click new event, or I can click anywhere on here. We're going to click on November 5th. And we're going to call it Bible Study Connected to Christ. I could add it to other calendars if I wanted, if they were available. I haven't created other ones yet. We're going to say this is in the fellowship hall, starts on Sunday, November 5th. Oops. At 9 o'clock a.m. and goes till 10 o'clock a.m. And it's going to repeat every single week on Sunday, ending, we'll say December 31st. Now I'm going to put my description in again, just because it's easier than typing new text. Okay. And I want to invite people to it. Now, because I'm creating this event within a group, I can only invite people within the group, but I'm going to go ahead and select all. I can also say I want to send reminders to the people that are coming to the event or that have been invited to the event. And I'm going to say 1 day before and 1 week before. And I'll go ahead and create this event. All right, now that gets added to the calendar, and because I set it up as a repeating event, it gets added to November and December, but not January. There's that December 31st. When I hover over it, I can see more details on it. Now let's go over here to the master calendar. So this master calendar also has the event on it. Now it doesn't have anything else here. I haven't built up this calendar, the calendars in the church. You'll see here I can select different calendars. If I go here to settings and I go to calendars, I can choose, like, some of these come from Church360 members. I can choose to put worship as a public calendar, and I'll put education as a public calendar, and I will put fellowship as a public calendar. Oops, let me close out of here. Now when I refresh my page under calendars, I can see all of those different types of calendars. And so now there's events showing that weren't showing before because I've made those calendars public. And of course I could change the colors. Without having more time, I'm not going to do that. So the next thing I want to do is go and show you how to create pages for, actually we're going to get to the blog post in a second. I showed you how to create pages before where you created a group. You can create basic pages just by doing a blank page. I did do that with Bible studies. I'm going to show you how to edit a page now. And we're going to go to the home page and show you what this looks like. So right now I've put a few things in already. When I go to edit the page, you'll see that I've got a few different things here. I've got layouts, which allows me to choose how the content is displayed. And I went with this one with a top row and 3 columns underneath. The status, which we looked at before when I made my mistake. The page title, which I can call like welcome or something like that. And then the description, and I can say welcome to our church. Now the page title and the page description are what shows up in Google, and that way in search results it can come up. Now what we allow, the page title will change what it shows the navigation, and we always tack on the church name to the end, so you don't have to put the church name on everything. That way when it says like welcome Christ Community Church, which of course is the wrong name now, it's Light of Christ, but that'll show up in search results when people are searching for churches in Bakersville. So that's how you can edit those key parts of a page, and that's available in groups too. I'm going to switch out the image that we have here. Oops, I do need to have edit on, and I'll click on here. I'll double click it and switch out to this image that I already uploaded before, which is a nice banner for the Bible study group. So I can hit save there, and I can click the image itself, and I'll click the link button, and that will allow me to link to any page or feed in my site, including groups. So now I'll say connect to the group connected to Christ and click OK. Oops, and looks like I did that wrong. I need to select the image itself and then select it to a page or feed and click OK. There we go. Now I hit save, go out of edit mode, and now when I click on this image, it takes me to the group. And remember, when we set up the group, I said that anybody can join. So this, for those who are not who are not members of the group but have logged in, they can sign up for the event there. They can also go into the event and mark that they are attending. So we could link to this as well, and somebody can say, yes, I'm going. So there's a few different options like that. Because I created the event, I'm already going. So there's a few things there. Let's show you how to create a blog. Now I don't have any questions in the queue right now, so I'm going to go over our 50 minutes a little bit. But the blog's the last thing. And what we have here, when you go to add a page, we call these feeds because you can have more than one, and it doesn't have to be in the format of a blog like you might expect, long format content. So we're going to click Create Feed, pardon me, News and Announcements is what I'm going to title this. And I'm going to move this into my navigation as well and click Save. And now I have a News and Announcements feed. Now there's nothing posted to it yet. When I go click Edit Page, it gives me a whole different set of options under Settings. Still get the feed title and the meta descriptions, but the feed can display multiple posts. I can show all the post content or just the header information. I can choose to allow comments, and if I do, moderate comments. And we'll click Save. There we go. Whoops. When I go to edit the page, I have the option for a new post, and I can say new Bible study starting next week. And I can add image, I can add copy. I'll put the copy in here. What I want to show you as well is that when you are in this, and this could be either for a feed, a post on a feed, or a website page, you have this option to add a group widget. I'm going to click Add Group, and there's only one group, and if I click Small, it just gives me a text link. Now when I hover over it, and you may not be able to see it too well, there's a yellow border. When I click on it, or double click on it, I can change it to different things. So I can choose a medium, which gives me the title of the group, or I can change it to large, which not only gives me the title of the group, it gives me the group leaders too. And so I could put something like sign up today, and I can change that style to be, we'll just do H2 right now. Oops, I did the wrong thing. Click sign up today and change the styles here to be H2. There we go. And it's got my details down below. Alright, and I'll change that as a published post and click create. And I get out of edit page. And now you see here is our announcements blog, and the blog post is new Bible study starting next week. I click on that, and it gives me all the information about Connected to Christ. And so I can click on that and join the group. Now, there's one other thing that I want to show with pages that's a common discussion. We created this page study guides before. What you can do is you can click Edit Page and say download a preview of the book. And I'll select that, and I'll click links again. We linked to pages before. I could link to any URL, but you can also link to a file that users can download. And so I'm going to upload a PDF, book preview, and select that and click OK. And this has now turned into a link that I can click on, and it'll take me to a PDF. So it's that simple to add files to your website. All right, we are past 50 minutes now, and I've gone through a lot of things. The one remaining thing that I almost forgot about is sending out a mass email. So if I go into members, oops, what did I click on? If I click members here, as a group leader, I can email all the people. And when I click email all, it's going to open up my default email client. And it should. I wonder if it, because I don't have Outlook. There we go. Took a second to pop up. Now, it's my default email client, so in my case it's Outlook, and it creates this Connected to Christ email address, which has all of these characters. It's called a GUID. All of these characters followed by my website, subdomain, and relay.360unite.com. All of that seems a little complicated. Let me just simplify this for you. What this does is when you send an email here, oops, there's my calendar reminders. When you put an email here, it will send an email to our servers, and we will relay that one at a time to every member in your group. That's why we call it email relay. And so what that means is that when somebody hits reply, it's just going to go back to you. It's not going to go to the whole group. And it's not going to be considered spam by your email servers because our server is sending one email at a time to every member of the group. It allows you to do mass email without a third-party tool, without having to load email addresses into a different system, without having to maintain a contact list in Outlook. All of that is within Unite, and so you can reach out to people. And you are comfortable with your default email client. You send emails from there all the time, so you get to use those tools rather than learning a new tool. So that's how you email everybody. All right, there's a lot more little things that I could show. Like we didn't get into posts and activities. That has to do with your blogs or comments, which you can do. You also have an event log, which shows different things, different updates, and an email log when you send things through the email relay. That's just a very brief preview of it. But now I'd love to get into your questions. There's nothing in the queue right now, so I'm going to go ahead and show my final slides. Let me switch back over to that. If you haven't started your free trial, you can do so. Oh, I put the wrong address on there. Pardon me. This is I was recycling from my previous webinar. So let me go ahead and fix that. It's pretty simple. You shouldn't have any problems figuring it out, but it's 360unite.com. and you can start a free 30-day trial there. All right, we'll save that. Updating web or presentations on the fly. Let me make sure that's going. Well, that's going far too slow for me while it tries to save. Let's go ahead and pull up my website again one more time. So 360unite.com, and it'll take you to this page. You can start your free 30-day trial there, and it's just a short form to fill out, and you can start building your own website today. If you have questions or you'd like to talk to me about it in more detail, you can contact me at my email address, or you can reach out to one of our software consultants. They'll be happy to give you a full tour of 360 Unite and answer any specific questions you have related to your congregation. They're much more readily available to me because they're not in meetings all day like I am, but you are welcome to contact me as well at my email address or phone number there. So at this time, if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. We don't have anything in the queue, so I'm only going to wait a few seconds. I don't want to keep you here all day. But if you don't have any questions, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to watch the presentation. I hope that you learned a little bit about how you can use Church360 Unite to do mass communications to your congregation of very important things like a church-wide Bible study. Now you can take what you've learned today and apply it in other ways. It could be applied to maybe your Advent services that are coming up, your Thanksgiving luncheon or dinner that you might host at your church. Anything where you want to have people participate and attend an event, you can use the tools in Unite to get that information out in a variety of different ways. So I see no questions in the queue, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the day. Thank you again for attending. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye.